Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I'm Lupinefiasco. This is Daily FaB gameplay, and today we are playing Kayo, Armed and Dangerous. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar.net client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles as if I were taking them now, walking you through my thought process for the line I would take, and compare that to the line I did take at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns, with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events and walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the deck I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see every new episode of Daily FaB gameplay in your YouTube feed. I also have a Discord, a Blue Sky, and a Patreon, links to which are found in the video description. A Patreon sub at the Arc Lightning tier or higher will get you access to the matchup guide for this deck and for every one of my decks forever. Without further ado, let's jump right into the action. Kayo is in a pretty good spot against Ira. We have a ton of armor, we have Scaling Fleshbag to impact their dual threat turns, and what's nice about fleshbagging the dual threat turns is that it's very telegraphed. Ira has her Kodachi into attack with go again, break chain, play dual threat, Kodachi finisher. We just fleshbag that Kodachi and hopefully put Ira in a spot where she only got 3 value from her dual threat and ends up arsenaling something that we can pretty well assume is a 2-for-6 disruptive thing. But this Ira is a little different than what I have come to expect in the Hunted meta. We don't see Blood Splattered Vest, and we don't see Flick Knives, which would lead me to call this more of a Boomer Ira. We see 70 cards in deck rather than 60, so this Ira is intending to play very defensive. We see Tearing Shuko, which only blocks for 1 compared to Tiger Stripe Shuko, but also gives additional power to the Pouncing Tiger made by Pouncing Paws, so getting more value overall. We see this Fandal Spring Tunic, so I can also assume that Ira is going to be more of the traditional block with 2 cards from hand, pitch blue, attack with Kodachi for 1, attack with Disruptive 2-for-6 for 7 with Ira's ability. So we're sort of in a more of a rough spot here. I really do like playing against the aggressive Ira more with Blood Splattered Vest, Flick Knives, which tells me that she's playing more 2 blocks like Pick Up the Point and Up Sticks and Run. This Ira is going to be playing more defensive. I assume more of the combo 3-block blues that work better with Flick Flack. So our line here is still going to be blocking, and we can still try and set up good value with our own disruptive attacks. Ira has very little armor, as you can see, so Command and Conquer is going to force her to block from hand. Send Packing is going to banish defense reactions from the arsenal and force her to block from hand to protect them. But I would say that we are in a worse spot considering that Ira is more defensive than we would be if she was more offensive. We do better against aggro Ira. But we did win the die roll and get to go second this game, which puts us into a fine position. We will take damage from the first Kodachi. Blocking for 1 is really never worth it, especially with Ira on 70 cards. We need to not play towards fatigue, but at least be wary of it. Block with Clash of Might here, prevent 2 damage, hopefully start the game with a Might. See that Ira has a blue Whelming Gust Wave on top of the deck. We have a Wild Ride, so I will want to block to protect my life total, and I can also discard this Wind Up to make an agility. Maybe we get to Arsenal the Wild Ride instead of playing it. Drawing into what is a really terrible hand. Because we have this agility, we can lead with Bear Fangs. We don't need to lead with Wild Ride, but I kind of want to keep the Bear Fangs, so I want to play Wild Ride red, pitching Wild Ride yellow. Hopefully drawing a blue discard Wild Ride red, I guess, and then be able to play Bare Fangs for 7 as opposed to Wild Ride for 6. But definitely not the position I wanted to be in. I would love to have a blue in this hand, and unfortunately it just won't work out. But we can play a Wild Ride. I want to pitch my yellow Wild Ride because I'd like to try to maintain some Wild Rides in the deck, which I guess I get to do drawing another Wild Ride. We could take an intellect penalty and just arsenal one of these and keep the other one in hand, but I think attacking with Mandible Claw is just better. I can't afford to lose value through intellect penalties against a hero like Ira, whose entire thing is being value-oriented with her hero power. We draw into an absolutely terrible hand and see some of the blues that we would have really liked to see on our last turn. We're not going to block the first Kodachi, probably not blocking the second Kodachi either. We'll just block whatever the next thing is for 6 with Wrecker Romp and Riled Up. And then my turn is going to be play Beast Within. We should block this. I forgot that this is a Mask of Momentum trigger, so we should have blocked that for 6. We get lucky as one of the downsides to Ira playing these shitty blues that work well with Flick Flack is that she sometimes draws them for Mask of Momentum and then just deals 1. I believe this line, we could take a chance here. We could play Wrecker Romp, pitch Riled Up, discard this Beast Within, and just try to draw a red off the top of our deck, lose a life, but get a better arsenal. I believe what I'm going to do instead is play Riled Up, pitch Wrecker Romp, and then arsenal the Beast Within. And that would kind of work if Ira ends up playing Command and Conquer, because then we can let the CNC hit, lose our Beast Within, and draw a card. Keeping the Riled Up is fine. I don't love the line. I would have rather played the Riled Up and arsenal the Beast Within, but ultimately neither one is good in our arsenal. And Riled Up just, maybe puts us in a spot where we can play this Wild Ride, pitch Assault and Battery, pitch into Mandible Claw, and then pitch into Riled Up and it deals 6 from Arsenal. It's whatever. It's not ideal. This game so far is not ideal. We're just taking 3 every turn from the Kodachis because I am saving my cards to block whatever the finisher is. In this case, I don't mind letting Ira draw. She does have the Tunic, which she would be able to use to pay for a 2 for 6 off the top of the deck, and maybe I do need to respect that. So maybe the block here is Scabskin Leathers or Savage Sash and Riled Up. And then my turn is play Wild Ride, pitch Assault and Battery, hope to hold on to the Run Roughshod so that I can play it, and if I don't, then it's just either pitch a yellow to play Riled Up from Arsenal or pitch a red to attack with Mandible Claw. That's probably what I'm supposed to do, actually, simply because Ira has the Spring Tunic. If she rips a 2 for 6 off the top, then I do need to actually care about it, and this hand doesn't do well caring about it, because a 2 for 6 here says that I can block it with Run Roughshod and Assault and Battery, but then I can't play my Riled Up from Arsenal, so I'm just pitching Wild Ride to attack with Mandible Claw for 3. We see a cut down to size, which currently does not have an effect, except for dealing 6 points of damage, and our hand is still kind of bad. So I think the line here is going to be block with Assault and Battery for 3, take 3, and then pitch Run Roughshod to attack with Riled Up, and Arsenal Wild Ride, and just try and get something going in the future. So far, this game is not going well. We are just, for one thing, getting outvalued by Ira, but for another, just getting beaten down by the consistency of Ira, because so far, our hands aren't functioning very well, and the fact that Ira has chosen to take 5 here and keep a 5-card hand tells me that I'm in trouble because I'm going to get dual-threaded. But like I said, when you're getting dual-threaded, you can just take the first 2 hits, let Ira set up the dual threat, and then hit her afterwards, because usually the thing that her line is going to be Kodachi attack, dual threat Kodachi attack, and you can hit that attack. So how do we want to deal with this bleed out? How do we want to play this hand? We have a Wild Ride in Arsenal, we have 2 blues, a Swing Big, and a Bare Fangs. If I can keep 5 cards here, I'm very happy, because I am very likely going to be able to Wild Ride Mandible Claw 2 for something, 2 for 7 or 2 for 8, which is great. It's a ton of damage. It's exactly what I need to do to catch up. We can take this bleed out and go to 19, and then have Scowling Fleshbag. Take 2 from the Kadachi, go to 17, and then hopefully Ira's turn just ends. We could also put some armor in front of the bleed out here to just get some value out of it. Now, if we really wanted to be greedy on our turn, we could think about using Savage Sash. So we see the dual threat from Ira. We get the Kadachi for 4. Now, Ira does have 2 cards in hand, and we're assuming one of them is a blue, the other one is a finisher. So if we Fleshbag away the finisher and give Ira the blue, it's possible that she just plays, like, Rising Knee Thrust for 4, or whatever, and the Fleshbag was fine, but not great. But if we can intimidate away the blue, Ira can't actually play the finisher, and as we will see, she can get out of the situation by breaking her Pouncing Paws and tearing Shuko in order to send Crouching Tiger for 6. But this still is a value loss for her because she didn't block with the Shuko or the Pouncing Paws before she broke them. So she loses 2 points of value. We're still taking 5 here, which is a ton of damage. And should we block with the Swing Big? We can. It's fine. It's a fine play. I don't think it's necessary. We could put Scabskin Leathers in front of this Tiger if we didn't want to take damage, if we wanted to mitigate our losses there. But now we're in a position where we are very likely to just not be able to work a Mandible Claw into this turn. If we still had that Swing Big in our hand, then our turn is Mandible Claw, pitch Bare Fangs for Swing Big. So we take 3 less damage but lose 3 damage on our turn. I think this is not the best play that we could have made. I would happily be at 14 here if it meant that I got to deal 3 more damage to Ira. We at least hit off of our Bare Fangs, so dealing 8. Ira takes all the damage, which tells me that we're getting dual threaded again. Thankfully, our hand at least blocks for 6 and then sends Bare Fangs for 9 and makes another Might. And we still have a ton of armor, so we have at least evened out the life total with a pretty impressive 4-card hand of our own. And the fact that Ira did not attack before she played the dual threat is pretty good, because it means that this Kadachi did not get +3 power. Dual threat only comes in for 3 rather than 6, and Ira has to break her chain in order to set that up. So we do get to interact with whatever this is before she draws with Mask of Momentum. We do need to block this Whirling Mist Blossom. I cannot let Ira draw 2 cards off of this. We're going to block this with our Savage Sash and I guess Smash Instinct. Scabskin Leathers is fine too. I'm not expecting Ira to be able to do anything to affect the block value of our equipment, so we shouldn't be afraid of losing the Savage Sash to something like Temper. Got a Sound the Alarm coming in for 5 here. There is no on hit, it just shows Ira our hand, which, let's be real, is not very good. We're going to block this Sound the Alarm for 3 with Smash Instinct and then just send Bare Fangs for 9. Now Ira gets to see what's going on, but like I said, we don't have too much to show her. Bare Fangs hits, discards the strike, we make a Might. Bare Fangs comes in for 9, representing more than half of Ira's remaining life total. So we're really now starting to be in a good position in this game. We've gone from being significantly far behind to flipping the script with a really good Fleshbag and a series of pretty high value turns. And then Ira hitting that dual threat for +3 rather than +6 also helped us out a lot. Ira saying no blocks and playing no defense reactions. Did she draw dual threat number 3? As far as our hand is concerned, hey, it still blocks pretty well. I'm going to block this Flex Claws because I don't want to give Ira free value by giving her the Crouching Tiger and then letting her attack me with it for 1 with her ability. What do I want to block this with? I want to block this with probably Swing Big and Bone Breaker. Cover the 4, make another Might, with my intention being to Command and Conquer for 8, pitching Assault and Battery, and then arsenaling E-Strike. We could also block this with E-Strike and Leathers, but like, let's get our Bone Breaker value and then really put Ira into a tough spot with this CNC for 8. to Ira. See, does she have the 2 for 6 that becomes 2 for 7? Playing out Twin Twisters. I don't know that I've ever had this card played against me in Classic Constructed. I don't even know what it does. So this is just going to be a 1 for 5? Question mark? Do I care? I care in as much as I don't want to take 5 damage, but I don't care in as much as this doesn't threaten any on hits. This not hitting doesn't impact my next turn. So I'm okay to say no blocks here. I don't want to commit this E-Strike to blocks and then get blown out by something like a Snatch. I want to save this E-Strike. Yeah, I don't love this. Just because I need these other 2 cards in my hand, and if Ira's follow-up here is something like Kadachi Snatch, then we just can't block the Snatch. Instead, it's Torrent of Tempo for 5, whatever. This is the same problem we were just in, except now we are committed to keeping these 2 cards. And we are sort of now in a predicament, so if we had taken the 5 damage from that Twin Twisters, we would still be at 7 here. We would have been able to block the Torrent of Tempo with Command and Conquer and Savage Sash, and then send E-Strike for 9, which puts Ira into a position where she needs to block it, and we can't do that because we already committed the E-Strike. The CNC here does potentially put Ira into a difficult position, because if she draws 2 or 3 defense reactions, she just can't play them, and she takes a bunch of damage from the CNC and then also doesn't do very much on her turn. Very likely that we did catch her with a defense reaction, and she just pretty snap blocks here. This is good news for us. It's just buying us time. We still have 2 Blood Rush Bellows in our deck. We have the Savage Sash. We're probably going to need to just fire this off, pitching the E-Strike, and then hoping that we draw a blue so that our hand actually functions. We at least have Savage Sash to maybe get us out of this if the best draw we get is a yellow. If we draw a yellow and a red, then we break Sash and our turn at least functions. But we do draw 2 blues, neither of which is very good. We could discard Wind Up here, make an Agility, break Savage Sash, attack with Mandible Claw, Pack Hunt. But I would rather save Sash. I'll just pitch my 2 blues here, burn 2 resources at the end of this turn, but we are getting Mandible Claw into Pack Hunt. Pack Hunt very likely to be impactful, especially if we banish away a bad blue from Ira and force her to block with good reds. Then maybe her turn is just Kadachi, pass, and we have some armor left. We have the ability to actually take that damage. Ira gives us the Mask of Momentum, which is great because we don't have to worry about that anymore. Breaking the Savage Sash here, does this say that I'm going to go for the windup? No, I'm going to undo it. Yeah, I think that is better. I would rather still have Savage Sash than have an Agility, because I'm putting Ira into a position where she needs to block, and maybe I just get to use cards and block out Kadachi. So she's blocking with 2 reds here, which is really good, and even playing a Flick Flap from Arsenal, that D-reaction that we clocked her with. Let's see, if she pitches a blue to one of these Kadachis, then we know that we got her, and this cut-through is even worse. So this cut-through is just 3. Ira does not have Flick Knives, so there is no way to make this 4 with Go Again. We just play the best value we have, which could be to take 3 here, do something like go to 3, play Command and Conquer, pitch, send packing, discard Mighty Windup, make 2 Mites, Arsenal Bear Fangs. The problem with that is it doesn't threaten lethal, which I would need it to do if I was going to take a risky line like that. We also have the line of pitch send packing, attack with Mandible Claw for 4, discard Mighty Windup, give the Claw Go Again, make 2 Mites, break Savage Sash, send either Bear Fangs or CNC, pitching whichever one we don't play. That doesn't seem very good. I believe the line here is going to be block the cut through, probably with send packing. Our turn we can attack with Bear Fangs, pitching Mighty Windup. We hope that we keep this Command and Conquer in hand and can arsenal it. If not, then we hope that whatever we draw isn't too bad. But we at least threaten lethal. We're threatening 9 damage. Ira can't just give us her Tunic. She needs to block with cards from hand, which I value quite a lot. I want Ira to have to give us cards, because the more cards she gives us, the less likely she is to be able to put another dual threat turn together or Kadachi, go again. See, I don't like this. This isn't threatening lethal. It does mean that we keep a Bare Fangs, and that but we don't threaten Ira's arsenal. I mean, we do happen to catch her with a hand that is apparently better played on defense than offense, but even so, that just isn't good, and now, what are we doing with this hand? We have this Bare Fangs in arsenal. Now, notably, we would have potentially drawn into a Smash Instinct that we have to put into our arsenal, so we're okay because we have this Bare Fangs, but now we're in this weird spot where it's like, well, we don't have Go again. I don't want to potentially discard my Beast Within to my Bare Fangs because I would lose life and not be able to use whatever I draw, but just putting cards in front of these Kadachis feels really bad. We could take 1 damage here, block the second Kadachi with Beast Within, play Assault and Battery, pitch Smash Instinct, discard Send Packing, deal 5 damage, and set up Might and Agility. Probably what we're supposed to do is block this Kadachi with Send Packing, block the second Kadachi with Beast Within, pitch a blue, play Command and Conquer for 6, arsenal Send Packing, and just hope that we don't die. This is not the situation that we really want to be in. We would have liked to have converted this hand offensively. It seems that I'm going to go for the Assault and Battery line, which again doesn't threaten lethal. Oh, we're going to go for the Bare Fangs, which does threaten lethal. Interesting. Very lucky to not have discarded this Blood Rush Bellow. Yeah, I still don't love this line. I think that this was... I believe that we've misplayed the last 2 turns by not threatening lethal earlier and then choosing to threaten lethal now. I like that I'm threatening lethal, though to be fair, Ira blocking with Tunic does not kill her. She goes to 1. There is a reason for her to play around Reckless Swing, but I just feel like we have mismanaged the last 2 turns. It's still going to work out for us because we have Armor Block, we Arsenal Blood Rush Bellow, we are fine. Just don't love how we got here. So Ira coming in with Kadachi for 1. We know that this card in her hand is a yellow Bittering Thorns, which, again, I don't believe I've ever had played against me. It will attack for 4 with Go again, threatening to give the second Kadachi 1 more point of power. We can block this with Clash of Might under Scabskin Leathers, cover up the damage in the on-hit. Showing a Flick Flack, we are going to make a second Might. We get to pitch a blue, play Blood Rush Bellow, have 3 cards in hand. We even have Savage Sash if we need it. We do know that Ira is going to be able to block 4 and then potentially block 5 on a second Chain Link after playing Flick Flack. Potentially we draw into something that doesn't let her do that or punishes her for trying to take that line, but I think what is more likely is that we're just going to send a 4-card Blood Rush and kind of hope that it works out. Deciding here if I want to discard an Agile Windup to make an Agility in case I don't rip a Wild Ride off the top of my deck. Because we played a Wild Ride early, we've played 2 Wild Rides in fact, and then had to pitch 3 more. We know that we only have 1 left in our deck. This is turn 10, so there is a decent chance that we would draw into our 6th Wild Ride. I don't believe we would have hit our pitch stack yet. Going to take the Agility line and just be safe. This does work out too if we draw into something like a Pack Hunt. We do draw into our Wild Ride, so a little punished for taking that line. If we'd still had that yellow Agile Windup in hand, we'd be able to pay 2 to Mandible Claw, pay 2, pitching that yellow to play Clash of Might, and then Arsenal the Wild Ride. But even so, we get to send 7 points of damage with the Mandible Claw and then 8 points of damage with Clash of Might. We still have our Savage Sash. The Mandible Claw is threatening 3 points of damage if Ira only blocks with the Flick Flack, and then the Clash of Might. Interesting, going for the higher damage line. So this line threatens 2 more points of damage and uses our Savage Sash. I could see that being worth it, though at the same time we are coming up on 2 red Wild Rides and a yellow Wild Ride, and that yellow Wild Ride could potentially pay for 2 red Wild Rides. I think saving the Sash would have been nice. At the same time, we are threatening 17 points of damage this turn. We know that Ira can easily cover 4 of it, but assuming that even the other 3 cards in her hand are 3 blocks, then she still has to give us her entire hand. So this Wild Ride is going to come in for 7. We draw a discard Beast Within, which does discard our other Blood Rush Bellow, so we end up taking 2 points of damage and going down to 1. But we draw into a Run Roughshod that we can just play for free. So somehow manage to luck into the win here and barely avoid not being dead to our own deck. Really interesting game. Another one similar to our Marionette game this week that was just kind of awkward for a lot of the game. Things just didn't line up the way that we needed them to. I think part of that was us putting ourselves into positions for our deck to not line up the way that we needed it to. But also just some awkwardness by Ira coming in with 1 and then 2 and then Thing, and our attacks all blocking for 3 and not wanting to use them to block Kodachis. And that is why I think that this Boomer Ira that is more defensive and plays more bad 3 blocks is actually better into Kayo, because it presents him with difficult choices like, how am I blocking? As opposed to aggro Ira that says, here's 3s and 4s, and we say, cool, here's 3s. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to take that like button to Pound Town. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free. It helps me out a lot. I have a Blue Sky, a Discord, and a Patreon, links to which are in the video description below. I'll be back later this week with more daily FaB gameplay, so until then, take care.